Andy had built a stock pond out in his front yard. And it was, the purpose of it was just basically a stock pond, right?
Yep, it was a stock pond for our horses and our cows, and a place for our kids to swim and fish, and just to improve our property.
Okay, and you did that according to all Wyoming rules and regulations. I remember that. In fact, the state of Wyoming even came and inspected when you were done. And what was their assessment of your pond?
Well, they helped engineer our pond. They designed it. We filled out the stock pond permit. It went in through Cheyenne, and when we were done with it, they were very happy with it. They were impressed to see all the work that we put into it, the money, the time, the work, and they said that we are completely in good standing with the state of Wyoming.
Okay, and I remember visiting you and taking a look at the pond, and you showed us how the water coming out of the pond was actually cleaner than the water going into the pond. So the EPA shows up, the harassment begins, and the number kept going up. In the end, you were getting fined how much per day by the EPA because of that pond?
The potential fines were $37,500 per day. I think it was $75,000 per day for a knowing and willful violation. So our potential fines were upwards of $16 million the last time I heard.
Pocket change for someone like you, obviously, right? Okay, so,
I'm pretty sure I couldn't do that in a lifetime. But.
Probably couldn't have swung that. Okay, so as we get into the fight with the EPA, who showed up to help you? Because I know that you were working with a gentleman called Ray Cagle, and who's he, and who are some of the other people that showed up to help you fight this?
Well, we have a whole army behind us. We have Ray and Susan Cagle. They are wetland specialist scientists up in Rigby, Idaho. They were tremendously helpful. We have Dan Frank out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. He knows all the local law. He's really good. Harriet Hageman helped us. Karen Bud Fallon out of Cheyenne helped us. Megan Wojta out of Mountain States Legal Foundation helped us. And Jonathan Wood from Pacific Legal Foundation helped us, among many others.
Now, here's where we get into the fun stuff. See, some people, when they first read that you had won this, and you had countersued, by the way, which was a bold move in that case. When it was said that you had won this, the reports in the news said that you had settled with the EPA. And immediately I got groans from people that I know where I live. He settled? Why would he do that? They wanted you to fight and win. But then you called me and explained what exactly that settlement is. Now, you've told me this story about 3 times so far, and every time you laugh your way through it. And apparently the judge was too. So what's the settlement, Andy?
Okay, well, it's called a settlement, but it's an absolute total victory. It's actually better than a court ruling, in my opinion, and our attorney's opinion, because our settlement is we have to improve our property that much more. We have to plant some willows. We have to put up a temporary fence, do this little tiny mitigation plan that lasts a year and a half. In an exchange, we have a covenant from the EPA to never sue us, and that covenant will survive the termination of the consent decree. And there's no admission of wrongdoing. There's no permit authorized. There's no gain of jurisdiction for the EPA. That literally the EPA got nothing.
Well, if your pond is such a danger to downstream waterways, then why would they settle like this?
Well, that's just it. It's not any danger to any waterway. It's a tremendous environmental benefit. Our water is 3 times cleaner coming out than it's coming in. The navigable water is over 100 miles away from us. We have the stock pond exemption. I mean, our case was really strong, and I think that's why when we finally filed suit, that all of a sudden the attitude of the EPA changed, and now they were more interested in settling the case than going to court.
The first round of trees you were telling me about that they planted, it sounded to me like trees that didn't even grow in the state of Wyoming.
Yeah, there was some talk about some cottonwood trees, and we settled on planting some native willows around the pond, around the south end, and half around the north end of the pond. And then the livestock fence, the little temporary livestock fence, which is about 200 or 300 feet long, it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
so there wasn't much on our part.
Yeah, and I don't see how that's supposed to really do anything. So the trees that you eventually did plant, here's the fun part. So Andy, what happened to those trees?
Well, we had we had a moose move in. I was about 3/4 of the way done with the planting of the willows, and a moose moved in and has really enjoyed those new willows.
Okay. So do you have to replant them now? Or do they insist that you replant now that the moose is eating the willows? Because if you plant more, the moose is just going to come back for more.
Well, the moose is temporarily gone at the moment, but see, the deal is with the mitigation plan is any willow that dies from now until next year, I'll have to replant. And then after September of 2017, we're good to go. So the moose didn't kill any of the willows.
What do you do from here? I mean, are you just going to go back to you were welding before? You were just a blue-collar worker? You're just going to go back to that life? Or now, did they get under your skin enough that you're going to remain active?
Oh, I'm going to remain active. Every chance that I get, I go and speak at, the Citizens for Equal Rights Alliance. And right now I'm trying to help a guy in Montana that's going through a similar thing. So I'm going to use everything that I've learned and all the people and assets that I've gained. I'm going to use that to try to help others.
Well, the gentleman that helped you out, Ray Cagle, had a similar situation. I mean, when I was interviewing him, he worked with, what was it, the EPA, or was it a different organization?
Well, he was actually a 404 enforcement officer for the Army Corps of Engineers, which just so happens to be the exact same district that I'm dealing with right now, Region 8. So yeah, he was with them, I think 10, 12 years. And then he didn't like their moral compass. He didn't like what he was seeing and how they were treating people. So he goes out and starts his own private firm, and he has testified in the Supreme Court. He was with Mike and Chantel Sackett in that ruling, and he's worked with Pacific Legal Foundation. And Ray and Susan Cagle are just outstanding human beings, and they've helped me and my family a lot.
It just seems to me that what's happening with the EPA is they're making enemies out of people that would normally just ignore them. And when someone wins against the EPA, I find most people don't drop out. They get angry, and they end up fighting against the EPA. So now there's Cagle, and there's a bunch of others. Gentlemen up in Montana is going to be joining you real soon. I bet after he wins his case, he's probably going to be part of your small and growing army.
Well, it's just about common sense, Glenn. It's we just want to do what makes sense, and the EPA isn't interested in that. It's about greed. It's about money and power and justification of their job, and they go out and they hurt people. They hurt families. They hurt people that just want to be left alone and just really want to live their life. Right. And just like our lawsuit, we're not asking for money. We just wanted them to leave us alone, which we finally got.
Right. And it seems to me in the end, we never really did figure out what all of this was about, really, other than what you were just saying, power. Congratulations, Andy. And you've got a whole host of radio, TV, and newspaper and magazine interviews to go for a while. And hopefully you can go ahead and ride that wave and do some more damage to the EPA. And I really seriously mean this from the heart. I classified you as one of my heroes a while back because you decided not just to roll over and play dead, but you got in there and fought full force. And we need more guys like you out there. So thanks for getting into the fight.
Well, thank you very much for all the support. I really appreciate it. And I'll always consider you a good friend. Thanks, Glenn.
All right.